In today's Business Matters, Boeing reports a loss of $3.8 billion in the fourth quarter. Revenue for the quarter through December fell 31% to $15.2 billion after landing record high profits in the 2010s. Boeing has bled more than $30 billion since 2019. The loss demonstrates that the challenges facing CEO Kelly Ortberg in the U.S. getting Filmmaker back on track is difficult. The company also faces scrutiny from regulators and customers following a series of incidents. Competition from rival Airbus in the delivery race is adding pressure as well. Meanwhile, a push to power artificial intelligence in the U.S., Chevron has signed an agreement with investment firm Engine No. 1 and GE Vernova as part of the deal. It will build natural gas-based power plants to run data centers in the Southeast, Midwest, and Western regions. Chevron expects to start initial service by the end of 2027. The announcement comes just a week after President Trump revealed a private sector investment of up to $500 billion to fund infrastructure for AI. Chevron CEO said the president's pro-American energy policies and commitment to energy and AI dominance give them the confidence to invest. General Motors reported record profits for 2024 today. The company said it expects even better operating results in the year ahead. But the automaker also admitted new policies under the Trump administration could impact those projections. Tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, for example, could disrupt GM's supply chain and raise the cost of assembling vehicles. That's because those two countries provide parts to GM's U.S. plants. The company also has assembly plants in both countries, sending cars to the U.S. market. Trump's positions on electric vehicles and the Environmental Protection Agency's emission rules could also have significant impacts on GM. Now, from the silver screen to the stage, filmmaker Quentin Tarantino is pivoting to theater. He shared about his next project, quote, "I'm writing a play." Clips of an interview Tarantino did surfaced on X. He said if the play is a smash hit, it might be his last movie. It was widely reported that Tarantino's final movie would be The Film Critic. Reports say the movie is scheduled to go into production this year. During the chat, the director revealed that he's in no rush to get back behind the camera. He said it's because he has young children. Tarantino said he wants to wait until his son is at least 6 years old. And tune in for holiday cheer. Nielsen's latest report revealed that Walt Disney maintained its lead in U.S. TV viewing share in December. It said holiday movie marathons boosted viewership. This was on top of strong performances across its cable networks, football-driven gains on ESPN, and popular animated series Bluey on Disney+. YouTube snagged the second spot. This is its 10th consecutive month as one of the top 2 media distributors. Rounding out the top 3 was Netflix. The streamer benefited from 2 Christmas Day NFL games and popular shows like Carry On, Squid Game, and Virgin River. Meanwhile, Google plans to implement President Trump's name changes to Google Maps. The company says it will start using Gulf of America once the name is officially updated in the U.S. Geographic Name System. The change will be visible in the U.S., but the name will remain Gulf of Mexico in Mexico. Outside the two countries, users will see both names on Google Maps. Google Maps will also change Denali to Mount McKinley. The name of the United States' tallest mountain has been a matter of debate for years. In 2015, the Obama administration formally named it Denali, which is the name used by local Alaskan natives. Now, technology shares steadied today, led by a modest recovery in Nvidia. The improvement following its record-breaking market value wipeout yesterday due to the DeepSeek fallout. This recovery comes after Nvidia stock plunged 17% yesterday, erasing nearly $600 billion from its market value. And by the way, that's a record one-day loss for any company. So the dramatic drop also weighed heavily on U.S. stock markets as well. And Lockheed Martin has set a cautious tone for the year. It shared a profit forecast and missed Wall Street expectations. U.S. defense contractors are seeing a surge of weaponry demand over the Russia-Ukraine war and conflict. in the Middle East. But companies are straining to meet demand as supply chains make a slow recovery from the pandemic. Lockheed is also grappling with delayed rollouts of a tech upgrade on the F-35 in the fourth quarter. Lockheed posted net income of $527 million, and this is a 71% slide from a year ago. It booked a loss of over $1 billion, and this came after fixed price contracts after costs went up. And the market reacting to JetBlue's disappointing financial outlook. The New York-based carrier forecasts lower than expected unit revenue and higher costs for the current quarter. The company expects performance to improve in later quarters. Now, the company has been reducing costs by pulling unprofitable routes and trying to increase revenue with higher priced seats. Its growth has also been hit by 2 losses in antitrust cases. JetBlue was blocked from acquiring Spirit Airlines last year, and the year before lost a case over its regional partnership with American Airlines. Now, supersonic airlines have been out of service since the early 2000s, but one company is attempting to bring them back. Boom Supersonic conducted a test flight of its XB-1 aircraft today, the precursor to the company's future airlines. NTD Sean Marshall has the details.
XB-1 is the first independently developed supersonic jet, and today's the day that we're going to go supersonic for the first time on this aircraft.
Live stream recorded the historic moment today for the first civilian supersonic jet built in America, and the world's first independently developed supersonic jet. The XB-1 demonstrator aircraft, which has completed 11 successful test flights since it first took to the air in March 2024, is the precursor to the development of Boom's supersonic commercial airliner Overture.
Meet Overture, the world's fastest airliner, optimized for speed, safety, and sustainability. It's about time.
It's now almost 55 years since the 002 prototype for Concorde first flew at Mach 1 on March 25, 1970, and more than 21 years since commercial supersonic travel ended with the Anglo-French airliner's final flight in November 2003. The hotly anticipated plane already has 130 orders and pre-orders from American Airlines, United Airlines, and Japan Airlines. There have been several challenges in the supersonic space while the remaining Concordes gathered dust at museums in the UK, the US, and France. But so far, no one has succeeded. When flying over land, Overture can fly significantly faster than subsonic commercial jets, about Mach 0.94 without breaking the sound barrier. This is about 20% faster than conventional subsonic flight. Boom's plan is that Overture will be in operation before the end of the decade, carrying 64 to 80 passengers at Mach 1.7, about twice the speed of today's subsonic airliners. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
Meanwhile, amid the Starbucks efforts to change, the company's North American president, Sarah Trilling, will step down, and the company's supply and customer solutions chief, Arthur Valdez, decided to leave. Former chief operating officer of Taco Bell, Mike Grams, will enter the newly created role of North America Chief Stores Officer. He'll be responsible for retail teams and store performance. The executive chief of software firm Empower Delivery, Meredith Sandland, will be in charge of store development and design. The moves are part of the CEO's plan to bring sweeping changes to Starbucks, including lowering wait times and implementing a coffee house code of conduct to make the stores more inviting. And it looks like many Americans are worried about their wallets. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index released its latest survey on Tuesday, and it dropped nearly 5.5 points in January. The January reading was also much lower than many economists had predicted. According to the report, most U.S. consumers are concerned about inflation. The U.S. economy has a historically low 4.1% unemployment rate, although inflation is still above the 2% target favored by the Federal Reserve. AAA predicts the growth in cruise vacation is likely to slow. That's after a post-pandemic boom pushed numbers up. AAA is forecasting that nearly 19 million Americans are expected to go on cruises in 2025. Passenger volume is projected to grow 4.5% from last year, when 18.2 million Americans went on cruises. The increase is lower than the 7.7% rise in 2024 and the massive 42% rise in 2023. But despite the slower growth prediction, 2025 is expected to be the third straight year of record cruise passenger volume. Cruise operations were among the worst hit in the travel industry during the pandemic. AAA expects the Caribbean to be this year's top destination for American travelers. While experts anticipate travel to slow down, especially with cruises, Royal Caribbean is eyeing a strong year. Its full-year adjusted earnings forecast came in largely above analyst estimates. Royal Caribbean expects a jump of more than 20% in its adjusted earnings. The cruise line is benefiting from record prices and new river cruise itineraries. The company said bookings are in line with the prior year despite higher prices. During their earnings call, the latest one that is, Royal Caribbean CEO said momentum has continued with bookings actually accelerating, resulting in the best 5 booking weeks in the company's history. Meanwhile, 19 state attorneys general are calling on Costco to abandon its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. They say the wholesalers' DEI program present discrimination and legal risks. However, Costco shareholders overwhelmingly support DEI. Last week, 98% voted against a proposal urging a review of the financial risks tied to DEI. State officials in a letter to the company's CEO accused Costco of doubling down on policies they allege violate federal law. They have demanded Costco notify the states within 30 days on whether it will repeal its DEI policies, that or provide an explanation for keeping them. The pressure comes after President Trump issued an executive order to end DEI agendas at federal agencies, as well as federal contractors and in the private sector. Now, Taiwan's government insists semiconductor cooperation with the U.S. is beneficial for both sides. And this comes after Trump told Republicans that he could impose tariffs as high as 100% on Taiwan-made semiconductors. In a statement in response, Taiwan's economic ministry said the U.S. and Taiwan cooperation in chip making and high-tech industries are a win-win situation. Taiwan's top chip manufacturer is already building a presence in Arizona, but Trump dislikes the deal that was made to bring TSMC to the U.S. He says the deal gives the Taiwanese company billions of dollars, but they already have billions of dollars. Trump said chip manufacturing left America and went to Taiwan. He said chip makers need to have an incentive to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Now, Volkswagen CEO says there are discussions with Chinese investors over the firm's German factories, but no concrete decisions just yet. Volkswagen has 3 joint venture partners in China and owns a stake in Chinese EV startup XPeng. None currently actually have production facilities in Europe. Volkswagen is exploring alternative uses for 2 of its factories to scale back its German operations. Europe's biggest automaker owns major brands, that's including Porsche and Audi. But falling sales have been exacerbated by rising competition from Chinese car manufacturers. Top executives wanted to close several plants, but have faced resistance from unions. President Trump said on Monday that TikTok is in talks to be acquired by Microsoft. How would a potential acquisition mitigate concerns over national security? Here's the story.
Mr. President, is Microsoft in discussion for acquiring TikTok?
I would say yes. A lot of interest in TikTok.
President Trump says Microsoft is in talks to acquire TikTok, the Chinese video messaging app. Government officials and tech leaders see the app as a threat to national security. A forced American acquisition is the U.S. government's latest effort to alleviate national security concerns.
We're going to have a lot of people bidding on it, and if we can save all that voice and all the jobs, and China won't be involved.
Trump joked at the House Republican conference Monday that he had a pro-TikTok bias.
We won youth by the largest margin. No Republican, we generally don't win youth. We won by 36 points. Can you imagine that? And I think TikTok had something to do.
Officials and tech experts worry the Chinese regime is using TikTok to spy, collect data, and manipulate Americans. The Supreme Court has upheld the law that says TikTok either has to shut down in the U.S. or be acquired by an American company. American ownership is more likely to prevent the CCP from using TikTok against America.
Do they have the capability to do that? Absolutely. Will it cost money? A lot of money and a lot of resources and people, but it could certainly be done.
Tech expert Scott Schober says there will still be security risks no matter who owns it, but that it's safer with an American company.
It really involves a large number of individuals that regularly police and maintain the policies, and that its careful framework is written out. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable, where that data is held.
Back in Trump's first term, Microsoft was already in talks to acquire TikTok. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella discussed it in 2021.
I just sort of have to ask about TikTok. Tell me what happened there.
It's the strangest thing I've ever sort of worked on.
Nadella said that Trump had a point of view about what was to be done at the time. But then
I just dropped off. I mean, it was interesting. There was a period of time when I felt that the USG had some particular set of requirements, and then they just disappeared.
Neither Microsoft nor TikTok has responded to the latest news.
Whole Foods just got its first union. Workers at a store in Philadelphia's Center City neighborhood voted to join the United Food and Commercial Workers. It was a close vote with 130 employees for and 100 against. The union says the workers want better compensation and working conditions as well. Whole Foods claims it's already offering competitive wages, great benefits, and career advancement. The union still faces a potentially long road. Amazon, which owns Whole Foods, has a history of anti-union stances. It has refused to negotiate with the union workers who were voted in at a Staten Island warehouse. The top-selling maker of seasonings and spices has announced its 2025 flavor of the year is Ají Amarillo. He is chili pepper native to South America. It has vibrant notes of tropical fruit along with a moderate dash of heat similar to cayenne pepper. The seasoning can be used on vegetables, meats, or dips, and even distilled into a simple syrup for cocktails. McCormicks chief executive says it's a balance of sweetness and heat that can be added to many different dishes. McCormick predicts the spice will increase on menu appearances by 44% over the next few years. And it's that time of the year. Girl Scout cookie sales are happening all over the country. And Wendys is paying homage to one of the Girl Scouts' most popular cookie flavors, Thin Mints. And the group and restaurant chain are partnering on a new dessert item. For a limited time only, Thin Mints Frosty will be on the menu. Wendys says its newest Frosty flavor will debut at restaurants nationwide next month. Customers can get the Thin Mints inspired swirl in either a vanilla or chocolate Frosty. All right, on to markets. U.S. stocks ended higher today with Nvidia and other artificial intelligence-linked technology shares recovering from the sharp losses the previous day. And this comes as investors snapped up bargains. So the Nasdaq led the gains, and AI chip leader Nvidia gave the index its biggest boost. S&P 500 technology sector rose the most of any S&P 500 sector. While an index of semiconductor shares also gained, investors were eager to hear from Apple, Microsoft, and other companies when they report quarterly results this week. That's all on Business Matters.